Right, everyone, welcome to Sip and Stretch. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm going to turn up our music a bit so that we can get in a relaxed mood, because tonight is all about, we've been working on meditating and what it looks like to meditate and allowing your feelings to freely flow. So tonight we're going to focus in on that, especially around the feeling of bitterness or anger, because our verse for tonight, let me pull it up on the screen, is Hebrews 12:14 through 15, and I'll read it to you. It is, "Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." So living in peace can look a lot of different ways. Tonight we're going to be talking about how living in peace includes being angry and being bitter sometimes. So let's start how we've been starting every day, rolling this ball under our foot. Again, you can use a harder ball for this if you're at home. You could actually purchase a fascia ball. We're using tennis balls since they're a little softer, so it allows us some space to be gentle with our bodies here, without causing any tension or pain, just literally rolling from our heel to our toes. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths, and then we'll switch to the other foot. The same motion, front to back. So thanks again for coming here to Stretch and Sip tonight. Today we're focusing, like I said, on opening our body and heart to our truest emotions, to God's Word, and focusing on the feeling of bitterness, especially the idea that expectations unmet are a part of our journey, that bitterness itself can bring peace, and knowing that all energy runs through the same channels, the same body. So we've been looking at these meridians. I'm going to pull that up as well. And as you sit in an easy seat, we're going to sit to start our flow tonight. Imagine those channels of energy. So if you're looking up at our screen, we see these straight lines or wiggly lines throughout our body, the flow of energy. You can close your eyes and imagine them. Starting our flow from our hips, grounding ourselves on our mat. We inhale into our nose, and we breathe out with a sigh from our mouth. We'll continue that as we start our flow tonight, knowing the difference between bitterness versus resentment by allowing ourselves to flow freely and to feel these emotions. We see they all come from the same source and flow through the same channels. Allowing those emotions, allowing that flow, is a form of faithfulness, a form of trust to show that we understand our human condition includes both negative and positive aspects. So as you start to ground yourself here at your mat, take notice of any tension in your body, any tightness in your muscles. We're going to zone in on them now and allow ourselves a space to feel them securely and freely. And if you'd like, I want to invite you to actually cover your mouth and fully scream into your hands at this time. This is so silly, and it allows you to feel those emotions in a fun and vulnerable way. Let's try that one more time, breathing into our mouth. And similarly to how we're sighing, we're letting out the emotion of a scream. We'll come back to our breath, imitating that full sigh that we experience when we scream. With those strong emotions, again, we're allowing our life to fully flow within and around us, affirming radical acceptance in our life to allow the flow of cycles that we can't comprehend or understand. We're continuing to radically accept the idea of life's complexity and are comforted by God's unwavering presence. So as you come back to your grounded state, you could close your eyes and put your thumb over your middle or forefinger, representative of God covering your ego. So I'm sitting almost like crisscross applesauce, however is comfortable for you. So you're in an easy seat, resting here at your hips, grounding your hips fully in your mat. Again, we ground from the bottom up. So here I invite you to close your eyes, continuing that strong breath from our bellies as we sniff and sigh. Again, covering our thumb over our forefinger, representing God covering our ego or need for control. We breathe deeply in through our nose and out through our mouth, incorporating a prayer breath. We could affirm ourselves with certain words that comfort us here. I'll give you an example. We inhale God's peace and exhale our grip on control. Inhaling peace, exhaling control. And with each breath, I invite you to sit up a little straighter, creating some space between your shoulders and hips here to straighten your spine, start to engage your core. Our necks are neutral, our chins are tucked slightly, allowing our head to bow just slightly so that we're not creating any tension or tightness in our neck and shoulders here. Our focus tonight will be our mid-back, below our shoulders. So as you breathe, focus in on that area specifically, an area where we hold a lot of emotions around our heart and chest. We're starting to open up that space with every breath as you exhale. Imagine it becoming looser, more flexible. And then as you breathe out, you can open up your eyes, opening our palms up to the ceiling. We're going to keep them here to either side, dropping them toward our hips to open our shoulders here. Again, keeping our hearts, our mid-backs open. Our core is strong so that we're sitting up tall. And as we inhale, our arms are coming up to our sides for a seated sun salutation. Our chins are reaching up towards the ceiling now to gaze up toward our fingertips. We'll stay here for 2 breaths. And we'll exhale back down to our sides. Again, our palms up toward the ceiling next to our hips, keeping those chests open, core is engaged, so we're sitting up tall. This time, let's add in our prayer breath with this inhale and exhale. As we inhale, we come up. We release control. As we exhale, we receive grace. Our palms are up as a form of receiving, a form of openness. Maintaining that looseness in our body, let's repeat that again. Inhale, releasing control, gazing up toward our fingertips. And exhale, we embody grace. Beautiful. Now we're going to sit here again in our easy seat. You can move your feet around. Find a spot that's comfortable for you, moving your hips around so we're not creating any tension there, because we are going to put our opposite hand on our opposite knee. So my left hand is grabbing onto my right knee here. My right hand is coming behind my back, and I'm opening my chest toward one side. I'm twisting toward my right side here. Again, my chin is slightly tucked, so I'm not creating any tension here in my shoulders or neck. Just very gently gazing toward my right side. If you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can walk your hand behind you a little further back and start to twist your neck in that direction. gazing toward your shoulder. So I've stretched my right hand further back behind me, and my neck is twisting toward that right shoulder. We exhale, closing that space again, coming back to an easy seat. Back to our front, again, shaking out our hips here, allowing our bodies to stay loose. Before we reach over to the opposite side, now my right hand is on top of my left knee. My left hand is reaching behind me, walking back nice and gentle, creating some space again in my mid-back between my hips and shoulders here. Keeping my chin tucked slightly, I'm gazing toward my left side. And as you breathe, you could deepen that stretch, exhaling to walk that left hand a little further back and twisting your chin toward your left shoulder. As we exhale, we come back to our center, releasing back to our knees, and again, back to our easy seat. We're stretching these sides, creating the space we need to let go, to feel free. We're putting our feet up in front of us now. Imitating that same movement, my hands can come here toward my hips. This is a great way to keep that core engaged, keep our spine straight. My knees are just slightly bent here. And again, I'm grounding from my hips, so slightly tuck your sacrum here to ensure your core is engaged, but you're fully stable here from your hips. As you again reach toward one knee and stretch to the side. The same movement. We're focusing on our mid-back and chest here, creating that space. As we exhale, we twist a bit further and turn. Back to our center. Again, we're going to move our hips, ensure that they're steady and stable here, tucking our sacrum slightly in this position so that when we twist and turn, our hips are staying in contact with this mat. And we're experiencing full mobility in our mid-back. As we exhale again, we can walk that hand a bit further and twist our chin toward our shoulder. Keeping that sacrum tucked slightly, core is engaged. Before we release back to our center. Beautiful. We're going to twist side to side here at our hips to allow them to stay loose here. My hands are still here on either side of my hips. We're imagining that we're wringing out any tension, any tightness, allowing full release of negative emotions that we might feel the need to hide, or we might be surrounded by shame. We're embracing these negative emotions. We're allowing them a space to move freely through the channels we've talked about here. I have up on our board still. We recognize those channels of energy and we allow them to move freely. We allow them to be flexible and loose. From here, choose one side to come to your knees. Your hands are going to move toward the front of your mat to bring you into a tabletop position. Nice and slow. My hands are about shoulder width apart, and I'm stacking my shoulders on top of my wrist here. Feel free to relax and reset at any time if you're feeling any tightness in your wrist, especially. Also avoiding any discomfort in our shoulders today. Our knees are also about shoulder width apart. And we're stacking our hips on top of our knees. For the same reason, avoiding any tightness or discomfort in our hips. Slightly tucking that sacrum allows your core to stay engaged here. Spine's nice and straight. Creating openness and space in our mid-backs by imagining our spine is long and strong, creating space between our hips and shoulders here. We're staying here for just a moment to familiarize ourselves with this position before exhaling to push our hips back toward our heels. Our hands stay toward the front of our mat and our forearms drop down nice and slow so that our gaze is up toward the front of our mat, toward our fingertips for a puppy pose. Our heads are staying up, our chests are staying up, but our hips are falling back toward our heels, creating that space. We feel this stretch in our mid-back and chest by keeping our chin tucked slightly, our gaze toward the front of our mats. Again, we're staying here for a few breaths to familiarize ourselves with this position. Feel free to move around and find what's comfortable for you. To deepen that stretch by pushing your hips toward your heels, allowing your ribs to start to rest here on your legs, keeping your head up to continue to create that space, slightly arching your mid-back. Now from here, we're going to allow our heads to tuck slightly in toward our chest and our hearts to melt down toward our knees. If you have a block here, you could use that as a pillow to support your head. Otherwise, you could rest your head fully down toward your mat and walk your fingers up to create that space, imagining our spines are long and strong. Opening the space between our shoulders and hips here. Our hips are still pushing back toward our heels. Our fingertips are walking up toward the front of our mats. And now our gaze is down with our chins tucked slightly. Our heads are melting down toward our mats. Here we are opening our chest and mid-back. As we breathe, we embody grace and we embody release, giving ourselves space to feel and move freely. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. And then we'll inhale back up to our puppy pose. Pushing our hips back up to a tabletop, nice and slow. And again, ensuring that our shoulders are stacked on top of our wrist and our hips are stacked over our knees. We stay here for a moment, and then we exhale our feet towards the back of our mat. Nice and slow, we bring our hips down toward our mats until we're laying on our stomach. Our hands have the same placement. We're keeping them strong here, pushing those palms into our mat as we slowly bring ourselves down like this. I have my hands here on either side of my chest, right below my shoulders. And my chin is tucked, my head is still slightly up. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together to keep my chest open as I push those palms into my mat and allow my chest to lift gently, I'm not squeezing it at all in my lower back, just gently pushing up from my palms. That's where my energy is rooted here. So I'm not creating any tension in my lower back. Feel free to release and reset at any time. Keeping our gaze toward the front, chin stuck slightly. And then exhaling back down. The same position, our palms toward either side of our chest. Nice and slowly, we're allowing our body to relax. We're fully laying on our stomachs here. Keeping our palms pressed into our mat. Challenging our arms to do some work for us here as we push them up. Our chest opens. And our hips stay loose as we do so, creating that space between our shoulders and hips. We're opening our chest and mid-back. Not feeling any need to strain. Just simply pushing those palms into our mat before releasing back down to exhale fully. Back to laying, you can put your hands here at your center to relax your head, or use a block to support your head here. We want to take some tension off our necks after lifting them. So take a moment to do that, to check in with your neck and shoulder blades. Allowing that upper part of your body to fully relax and release here. And as you breathe, imagining the same release through your lower body as well, allowing your hips to push down and melt into your mat. Now, as you start to wake up your body, take a moment to identify again any areas of tension or tightness. Again, we're going to focus on those areas today and affirm them, letting ourselves know that it's okay to experience tightness and tension in our lives and our bodies. Radically accepting those negative emotions as a part of our experience, as they come from the same source and they flow through the same channels. We give ourselves grace and embody faith by allowing ourselves the space and the freedom to feel. As you exhale, start to lift your head, and again bring your hands to either side of your chest, imitating that same movement. We're pushing up from our palms and then walking back up to our knees the same way we got here, nice and slow, back to our tabletop, stacking our shoulders over our wrist and our hips over our knees. We're creating that space again, pushing our hips back slightly, our shoulders up slightly to create space between our shoulders and hips, stretching fully our mid-back and chest. Now from here, we're going to stretch just one side at a time. So pick a side that you'd like to thread your palm through, stretching your hips back toward your heels again, with one arm through the other. I'm using my right arm first, threading it underneath my left. I push my hips back toward my heels and allow my palm to rest up toward the ceiling. My chin is stuck slightly to prevent any tension in my neck, and my gaze is toward my fingertips, toward my left side. As you exhale, continue to push those hips back toward your heel, creating that space. And if you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can walk your fingertips up and over. Now go ahead and twist your body back to your center, back to our child's pose. We're stretching both fingertips up toward the front of our mats here, pushing those hips back toward our heels, and then opening up our lower body to come back to our front, back to our tabletop. Again, ensuring that our hips are over our knees, shoulders over our wrist. And moving toward the other side now, my right hand is weaving under my left as I push my hips back toward my heels, tucking that chin and gazing toward my right fingertips, or my left fingertips, I should say, toward my right side. Again, as you breathe, you could walk your fingertips up toward the front of your mat, over to your side, and continue to press those hips back toward your heels. In this position, we imagine God gently untangling the knots of bitterness within us, seeing those areas of tightness within us, and allowing them space to loosen, to be free, and to be. We're allowing these feelings of space to exist. Let's come back to our child pose. And again, create that space, allowing free flow of energy through the channels in your body. So we're here in child's pose. We're going to stay here for a moment, so feel free to wiggle out and find a comfortable position to do so. Ensuring that you feel comfortable pushing those hips back toward your heels. Our toes are flat against our mats here, about shoulder width apart. Our sacrum is tucked slightly to create that space between our hips and shoulders, and our chest is melting down toward our knees. To create more space, again, you can walk your fingertips up toward the front of your mat. And then as you inhale, twist your head gently toward one side, allowing your weight to fall toward one hip. My ear rests here on my right arm. My right ear is making contact with my right arm, so that I can gaze toward my left side. Allowing my tightness to fall to my right fully. As you exhale, come back to your center, back to your child's pose. Again, chin's tucked, hips toward your heels, fingertips toward the front of your mat. Before pushing your weight toward now your left side, left ear on your left arm, we're gazing toward our right side. Allowing your weight to fall toward your left. As you do this, breathe into your ribs. Feel that expansion as you do so. Imagining that breath filling you with peace and secure space to be. Now let's exhale back to our front, back to our child's pose. From here, again, you could create that pillow by putting your hands here to your front, allowing your forehead to rest fully to avoid any tightness here in our neck or shoulders. Fully melting your heart down toward your knees and your mat. Continuing to push those hips back and creating that space. Beautiful. We'll start to come up. Our hands come to either side of our mats. Again, just like we practice, we push our palms to bring our body back up to our tabletop. Stacking those shoulders over our wrists and hips over our knees. We're back to our tabletop, which allows us to pick one side to fall to come back toward our mats for an easy seat. Again, beautiful. And here again, we'll come back to our hips, imagining these chakras we've talked about. I'm putting them up on our projector now, so that as we sit, we can imagine those channels of energy, those spots, those chakras within us. We stack them. And as we breathe, we fill them with peace, grace, and love, allowing ourselves the security to feel. Again, honing in on those areas of tightness, usually which can be around our heart, around our mid-back. That's been our focus today. So as you breathe, imagine again that expansion in your ribs, that safe space for those tightnesses to untangle themselves. From here, our feet will come back toward the front of our mats, our hands to either side of our hips. We move our knees side to side, opening our hips nice and gentle. Maintaining that groundedness and our root chakra here at our hips, our sacrum. We tuck it slightly to keep our abdomen engaged. So that we're staying tall and strong. Chest and mid-back stays open and flexible here. Now go ahead and find your center. I'm going to turn so you can see how my hands are staying in the same position. Again, my palms are pushing into my mat. My hips are about shoulder width apart. And here gently, you could push your hips up toward the ceiling for a bridge pose, as high or as low as you'd prefer. And of course, you can hold this for as long or as short as you'd like. Always ensuring that our shoulders are over our wrist here, our knees are over our ankles. Tucking that sacrum to keep our abdomens engaged. We're challenging our mid-backs to be strong and steady here. And then releasing with an exhale back down to our mats, the same position. We move right back into our hip openers, side to side gently. Beautiful. This is a great strengthening exercise for this part of our backs, of our spines. If you'd like to adapt this pose To make it easier, especially for your shoulders, you can come down to your forearms. Let's try that together. One vertebrae at a time, tucking that sacrum before lifting it slightly off your mat. Keeping your sacrum tucked to allow your abdomen to stay engaged here. Then gently falling back toward our mats. You could lay down fully now. And practice some hip openers here with your head looking up toward the ceiling. Allowing our body to relax fully here. I invite you to put your hands on your stomach, right below your ribs. So as you breathe, you can feel the expansion of air in your ribs. Imagine that space. And comfort yourself in knowing and connecting with the untangling that happens when we allow ourselves to have this space to scream or feel, to be bitter or angry, because our life is about setting expectations. We practice intentionally setting expectations for things that we want to see happen in our life, identifying things that we've been feeling, and especially identifying areas of tightness or tensions in our life and in our bodies. And so as you feel that expansion of breath, again, let's zone in on those areas, setting expectations for ourselves while also relinquishing control of their outcome. We radically accept that we can control only so much of our lives, that we don't know what's coming. We find peace and faithfulness in trusting the truest plan that has been set for us. So go ahead and stop in your center here. Again, slightly tucking your sacrum. Fully relaxing into your mat. And then allowing your feet to fall for Savasana pose. I invite you to keep your hands here in your stomach for another moment as you breathe. Reminding yourself again that we're here to create space to untangle those tensions and tightnesses. We feel safe in the anger or bitterness we find ourselves feeling. We understand them as a part of our path. And we embody grace in allowing ourselves to feel them fully. Let's allow our hands to drop toward either side of our hips, palms up toward the ceiling for Savasana pose. I invite you to close your eyes here as we breathe together, sniffing in from our nose, sighing out from our mouth. Bitterness can begin small, a single unmet expectation. When we demand control, we close ourselves off from grace. Our verse tonight calls us to make every effort to live in peace, which means releasing our grip, releasing our control, and understanding our expectations may not always be our truth. God is sovereign and we are His children, not His managers. Hard situations are a natural part of being human, and allowing ourselves to perceive them honestly gives us space to embody grace and therefore protects our peace. So here we're going to use our bodies to symbolically tense and tighten. Feeling that tightness and tension, you can squeeze your hands and feet. And then exhale to release and relax them. Symbolically allowing our feelings to be felt fully in a physical way. We tighten with an inhale, we hold, and then we exhale to release. Let's try that again together, tightening our hands and feet, squeezing them tight as we inhale, and then exhaling to release. As we breathe, we picture placing a tightly held object into God's hands and watching Him carry it away, allowing Him to take that tightness, to see it, to feel it with us. We give ourselves the space to release it here. Let's pray together. Lord, uproot any bitterness in us. We release control, trusting your perfect plan. Let your peace guide our hearts and actions this week. May your love allow us to securely feel freely without fear. Amen. Let's hear our scripture once more today. I'll put that up so we can see. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Again, we've allowed ourselves a space to feel, to be bitter, to be angry, as that's a part of our life. We allow ourselves to set expectations and goals in our lives while we relinquish the control that we're inclined to feel to define our outcomes. As you continue to breathe and release that feeling of control, let's fill ourselves with hope and faith, because embodying grace also means that we're allowing ourselves a space to be hopeful and to have faith in the expectations that we set and in the things that we want for ourselves and for those around us. We've created that space and we're filling it here with love, hope, and faith. We'll finish here in Savasana with our deep breaths. I invite you again to put your hands here under your ribs at your stomach. Continuing to feel that expansion, imagining peace, love, hope filling your body as I come around for a spray of our holy water, quote unquote holy water, our special water that our pastor has prayed over. And one for our folks at home. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to turn off our music and you can slowly get up from your seat when you're ready. so that we can share a sip together and hopefully share some of what we've been feeling, allowing ourselves the space to feel open and free to share those feelings.